Hey guys, it's Kenneth EM. Thanks for watching that last video. I hope you got to enjoy it. But the property I was talking about is actually in this building here. I thought I was going to be done with pre-construction condos. It's always weird to put yourself out there because you're not sure how, first of all, privacy. Second of all, I'm not sure how people are going to take it, whether it's discouraging for some people or inspiring. Hopefully it wasn't too basic. You know, there is some pretty complex stuff that I have in there which I didn't really get into and I'll have to get into in later months. And hopefully this style of video will keep you engaged. Thanks for watching. Okay, so first things first, negative cash flow isn't such a bad thing after all. Let's get into that topic. I would invest into a property. If I actually listened to people and said that negative cash flow is a bad thing, I wouldn't have got started. I wouldn't have built up that portfolio that I did. Because now I can take that portfolio, liquidate it out of it. I'm not ready to do that yet, but if I were to liquidate it all, I'd have some equity anyway to do what I wanted to, whether it's at this point live small and kind of retire, which I'm not going to do because it's not enough money in my opinion, or I can move that into more complex forms of investing such as multifamily investing. So look, I pulled up the Canadian Mortgage app, which is a great app from the App Store, which you can download. I don't get paid by them, I'm not sponsored by them, but it's a really good application. And some banks have their own, there's just not as much information and detail as I would like. I'm gonna pull up a listing, I already pre-populated it. There's one I see, just a random one that I found online. $595,000 with a 20% down payment. So $119,000 as a down payment. And you're gonna ask, $119,000, that's a lot of money. How do you come up with that? Well, there's a whole bunch of strategies which we'll get to into the next segment. So stay tuned. Well, look, the loan is $476,000. The monthly payment will be $2,225 over a 25-year amortization at 2.89%. Property taxes are $2,163 a year, which I know you only pay in installments of either 1, 2, or 6 months in Toronto anyway. So it's not really exactly divided by 12, but let's just do it for illustration purposes. So that's $180 a month. And then your monthly maintenance fees are $440 a month. So you add that all up together, it works out to $2,846 a month for your carrying costs. Now, you could probably rent out this condo for $2,400 a month. So you're gonna say you're gonna lose $445 a month. And people are gonna say, no, that's a terrible investment, I'm not gonna do it. Why would I drop $119,000 just to lose $445 a month? And this is the message that I'm trying to change. If you look at the mortgage payments, $1,086 a month principal minus your $445 negative cash flow would work out to $641 positive. Okay, so technically that's what you're actually going back into your pocket. That's actually your forced savings. So you might say it's not such a terrible investment if you're actually gaining $641 just by coughing up $446 a month, because if you didn't do it, you'd miss out on the capital appreciation, which in Toronto, you could say it's very speculative to say that the prices are going to continue to go up, but the chances are, I think they will. Look, immigration is strong, our economy is strong, it's pretty diversified, not only in economics, but also in ethnic cultures, right? So you have people from family from back home that's always going to want to come see their other family move with them. You have a whole bunch of jobs. We're not dependent on only one industry such as oil or car manufacturing or whatever it may be when you've seen those industries shrink due to a disruption. And then also on top of that, Canada is safe politically. We're not going to get into crazy wars. I mean, I don't think we will, knock on wood, right? But you never know what will happen. So I think the rental market's going to be strong. I think that the housing market's going to be always in demand, at least in Toronto, especially with gridlock and all that traffic and all that stuff you have to do. So there's always a demand to live in the core. And I think it's a great thing. I'm not saying to count on capital appreciation as your main source of real estate investing. It's done really well for all of us. But look, it's going to be paid off in 25, maybe 30 years if that's what you decide to do for the amortization. But it'll be paid off. And look, if the values go down a little bit, you just keep holding on, you keep renting it out. And as long as you can cover those expenses, or majority of those expenses, you'll be okay in the long run. Here, let's take our mortgage calculator again. And what you're going to do now is swipe right on that mortgage part. And it'll show you the amount of principal that you're paying off each year. So on the first year, you're paying about $13,000 in principal. And then by year 5, you're going to be paying $70,000 in principal, just by losing $445 a month, okay? So 445 times that by 12 months, times that by 5 years. So it'll cost you $26,000 over the long run 26,700, but you're up 70,000, so it's minus the 2. So you're actually positive $43,000, 43,304. And on top of that, if the price goes up, you get to take advantage of that capital appreciation. If you really want to be break even or cash flow positive, then you can stretch out the amortization to 30 years, which basically means you're paying off the loan in a longer term. Or you could do interest only. So say, for example, you got a line of credit and you paid the whole place off in cash, but you got the line of credit on your principal residence to fund that interest payment. See, the reason why I don't mind cash flow negative properties is because that means I'm building my wealth. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. Cash flow positive or wealth building? Which one do you want? So if you're getting $2,400 a month in rental income, that works out to $28,000, just over $28,000 a year in revenue. So out of your total income, you get to write off the interest, taxes, and maintenance, the ITM portion of your mortgage. You don't get to write off the principal. So as mentioned before, your principal was $13,000 for the first year. That you don't get to write off because it really goes back to you anyway. So you do get taxed on that. But essentially, you can write that down close to zero if you depreciate your property. The only thing is that once you depreciate it, you can have to pay the taxes later. Sooner or later, you're going to have to pay taxes. It's inevitable. So essentially, a nice benefit of owning property is that you get to defer your taxes and pay it later down the road. My amazing accountant, he always says that the time value of money is important. I'd rather have $1 today than $1 in 25 years from now, because $1 today is worth a lot more. And then the last thing that I want to mention is that inflation happens. So what I mean by that is that $1 today is better than $1 25 years from now, is that $1 is not going to be worth the same amount in the future, right? Like, look at the cup of a coffee. It's $3 now. It used to be at 50 cents at one point, or 25 cents. I don't know if you remember that or not. Or gas was 30 cents. I don't know. Anyway, money goes up because the value gets printed down from the government printing more money, the banks printing more money to cover off deficits, inflation, debt. They're devaluing your currency by every year that goes on. The great thing about the rent is that it's not there forever. Unless the tenant stays there and you have a property that's built before the new laws taking effect with rent controls and all that kind of stuff, November 15th, 2018. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that your rents will probably go up once the tenants move out and you put it back on market rents, right? So at some point, sooner or later, you will get cash flow out of it, which is nice. So don't discount having negative cash flow. So the reason why I like buying single-family condos versus multifamily residential in Toronto is because multifamily is expensive and you probably have to deal with either partners or investors and you have to answer to somebody. With pre-construction condos, the only thing I have to worry about is making my payments and paying the bank and not defaulting, which is under my control. I can choose to refinance, I can choose to sell, I can choose to do whatever I want, gift it to somebody if I want to. So every time I buy pre-construction, what I do is I print off the checks with a deposit structure and I put on my wall in my office, at my home, and also at the work office. And I just look at those dates and I just have something to strive towards. It's kind of like goals. This is my vision board, really. And every time I'm on vacation or whatever I feel like spending something, I don't do it because I know I have these deposits to pay. And that's why it's called forced savings. If you want to discuss in person, visit our website to book an appointment and we can have a one-on-one talk to go through your personal wealth building plan together.
Add it up.